Very good morning, everybody. Welcome to our new EduSeed training for the new center. We want to just thank God for each of you, your desire, your aspirations, and your vision to set up a center. I believe that each of you will be able to impact many, many lives. As it was, for us in all these years, it's been more than 23 years since we first started our first homeschool center back, 23 years ago. And we thank God that this ministry has expanded to many. I think over the last 20 over years, we have helped more than nearly 200 churches and individuals to set up centers. And today, we thank God that God has helped us to expand these visions in a different way using technology. So we welcome you, and I hope that these 3 days you will be able to learn and be able to serve the Lord in a more different way. Okay, thank you. Slide. Okay. Firstly, let me share with you our vision. Our vision is to empower learners to be leaders for tomorrow. Why tomorrow? Especially during this time that we are living in right now. It is so important for us to realize tomorrow will be a different world, even for us, especially more for these children. So we want to be able to empower them. Just as many of us, we were taken by surprise by COVID-19, and many were not prepared for the changes. What is important for our children to be prepared for tomorrow is to enable them to be a leader. And what is a leader? We will cover that shortly. Okay? Our mission is threefold. E for equipping learners for success with an adapted and personalized curriculum. We feel it's important that the leaders of tomorrow has some level of academic success. And so we need to equip them to be successful in their academic learning. 2, we want to develop learners' leadership skills and attributes. We will cover on that. Why it's so important that the future they learn to have skills and attributes. Lastly, our mission is to unleash these learners in creativities and to foster transformations and innovations abilities. Every child can has that abilities. Today, they are living in a very, very different world. And what you are going to do is you're going to be a part of that life to put a seed into their life to not just educate them, but to prepare them for tomorrow. Say, the future. What is it about the future? It is unpredictable, true? What we experienced in COVID was very, in a way, unprepared, as I said earlier, for many, and not that part of where many are unprepared affected them, affected their livelihood, affected their company, their business, families are affected, schools are affected. Many schools around the world are affected. United Nations came out with a report just lately that this COVID somehow has unprecedentedly affected, and one of the most vital area that it has affected was the education of the children. Just imagine, missing more than 6 months of education, more like almost half a year of their education. It will totally displace many children in their academic ways. Okay, so we see that the future is unpredictable. We need to ask ourselves this question. Is your child's current learning institution able to meet your child's learning needs? Many were not able to. We were caught by surprise. But we thank God, 8 years ago, the Lord gave us a vision. Go technology, go virtual. And this virtual has definitely helped many, many children today. Okay? So we ask these questions. Is our children's current learning able to meet their learning needs? The needs for today, as well as the need for tomorrow. Is your child prepared for the coming industrial revolution, which is called the fourth industrial revolution, where artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, industrial Internet of Things, 5G, this is definitely going to change in many, many ways, in many, many areas. I would say this. If you have a chance, learn more, get involved about 5Gs. For us, from the educational standpoint, actually this year, one of my goals was to spend more time in China and try to understand that 5G industries. Because I believe that this will have a big effect in the economic, in the industries, in education, in almost practically every areas. In robotic, 3D printing, we have seen how 3D printing is now not used just for printing small gadgets, but for building houses. So, is our children prepared for this coming industrial revolution? We know that technology is taking over. As much as like we say 5G is going to affect many. In a good way, not in a bad way. We need to open our hearts, open our mind to understand, to accept it. It is not a bad thing, 5G. So we need to also see, is our education system preparing the learners for the global job market that is coming? It may not exist today, but it will come. Maybe even in the very near decade. Maybe even in the very near future. But definitely it will affect our children's life in tomorrow. Because this technology that is taking over surely and will affect our tomorrow. So we need to see, how are we preparing our children? How are you preparing your children? Does your current education curriculum meet the future job market? That's an important question, true? So what is the future job market? 5G? But what is it? We do not know. We really do not know what is the jobs of tomorrow. But economists, educationists, somehow predict we may not be able to prepare them for the job, but we have to prepare the individuals for tomorrow. And so what is important to prepare the individual is their EQ. Why EQ? Emotional intelligence. Because changes will come unannounced. It will disrupt us, as we know this year. How these changes has already disrupted family, businesses, socially. It has put many into very difficult situation. We need to know how to deal with the tomorrow's situation. So they say it is important. We need to prepare children to have good EQ so that they can be able to meet the different challenges of tomorrow. They need to have creativity. Why creativity? Today, we realize what we do yesterday for today is not enough. We need to have creativity to be willing to change and be quick to change to meet the different situation, the different challenges that they will face. So creativity is an important attribute for a child to be able to be successful and meet the future. It's not so much of the job, because we do not know what job will be created in the future. But what we need to know is how to prepare their heart. We need to prepare them with leadership. They have to be always ahead, not be staying comfortable, mediocre. You know, many of us are just being mediocre, or many can be just feeling satisfied. It's not enough to be satisfied. You have to always be on your toe. Even now, more so, we have to be on our toe. Just because this COVID, I was a bit more prepared in virtual education, it doesn't mean that I am set. No, I'm looking forward to a different change, and I am changing for sure. See, we need to learn how to work together. We cannot stand alone in tomorrow. And young people must need to have the skills of cooperation, networking, teamwork. The attribute is important, preparing them for the challenges of tomorrow. Last not least, they need to be problem solving, critical thinking. You know, many of our children here in the school doesn't like coding, programming, because it is to do with a lot of problem solving and critical thinking. They have to think around what to do, how to get around there, how to get to this situation, to this goal. And as we know, children don't like to think. Worse, they don't want to solve problems. They leave that part to the teachers. They leave that part to their parents. But the future is going to be different. They have to solve problems and think through every situation. This is the future vital skill set. We can never prepare them for what will be the job in the future, but we have to prepare them for what they must be for the future. You see, and that is your job. To meet the needs of our children for tomorrow's economy, we need to have change. We need to see change in our schooling system. We need to see change in our in our teaching methodology. You are a teacher. You are coming in to learn to teach children. And one thing I must stress, you must be the first line of change, teacher. You have to change for what is needed for tomorrow. We need to see change in our approach to schooling, especially to parents. I've talked many times with parents. And parents have just one goal when it comes to the schooling of their children. Score A. That's not enough. Tomorrow's future is not about scoring A. So, just quickly, we need to see change in our schooling system. The first thing I want to talk about is change in our schooling system. And the change that need to come is every school need to embrace technology, because technology will surely come. And we see the vastness of technology available for us to impact education. I didn't say just now, but 5G will surely impact education. 5G will surely impact your life. The next change in the schooling system. All the while, school has always been dependent on teachers. It's very teacher-centric. Parents come to inquire about our school. I will ask them these one questions. I know there are two things you're looking for. What is our curriculum program? And two, what is the standard of our teacher? I don't want to disappoint you. Your degree has some importance, but not necessarily the most important when it comes to helping children to learn. Okay? Don't feel that it's an insult. No. I'll explain that afterwards shortly. Okay? We need to embrace change in the schooling system in a way to let the children speak a little bit. Okay, now I will touch that afterward, why the schooling system has to embrace a change, okay, in the whole system of operation. Today, it is also teacher-centric. It is also guided by textbook. It's also guided by degrees. It's not wrong, but we need to open our eyes. We need to not box ourselves into what was the past, what was yesterday, what is today. We need to come out from that. We must be willing if we want to embrace tomorrow and we want to see effectiveness in ourselves. We need to see, you see, years back, I think one of the Prime Minister of Singapore, I think it was Lee Hsien Loong, when he became the Prime Minister, one of his educational mandate was teach less, learn more. Why I put up these pictures? Today, look at this 12 years old programmer. Where did he learn? He learned basically from himself. Even though his parents were also programmers, he did ask from them, he teach from them. He didn't learn to be a great programmer going to a university. He basically learned himself. Today we have seen great successful young entrepreneur, great chef, great artists, great writers also, young children, driven by a passion. Today children are different. And today children today has different resources, different exposure. They are different from yesterday. You must not look at them as yesterday, today. You got to see them different, teacher. They are different from you when you were in school. They are different time when you were in school and today they are in school. They have a very different resource. Great children can come out from today's era, but they don't necessarily need great institution or a great teacher to teach them. By saying that, I'm not trying to undermine your role as a teacher. I'm saying that as the teacher, see yourself in a different role for tomorrow. Can you get it? I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Tomorrow begins today. But today, we need to see ourselves differently. Oh, I've gone for teacher's training. I have a certificate in teacher. It doesn't mean that you got to be that teacher that they say you must be in that box. Please, please, for the sake of our children and for the sake of their tomorrow, we need to see change in ourselves first. And you must be willing to change first, teacher. That's important. Because why? The second thing I mentioned, change in teaching methodology. We need to redefine the roles of a teacher. Do you teach or do you manage learning? I know you have never heard of this word before. Do you monitor progress? Do you mentor? This is the three things that we will be running through with you in the course of this training. A teacher is not one that teach anymore. You are going to teach less and help the children learn more. How? You have to see your roles differently. You see yourself as one managing your children, monitoring their progress and mentoring them to have skills of learning. Like I always say, I love fishing. I enjoy fishing. But I don't like to help people who doesn't know how to fish. I don't want to bring people who doesn't know how to fish because we have to teach them how to fish. But we all know the saying, give me a fish, I eat a day. Teach me to fish, I eat a lifetime. You know, it is important. If you want to bring friends to go fishing with you, you have to teach them to fish. If you want to help children to learn, it is not about you teaching them, it's how you help them the skill to learn. Like I teach them, not fishing, teach them the skill to fish. That's the role of a teacher. That's where you need to see yourself. That as a teacher, my role is not about teaching. It's different. Last, we need to see change in our approach to schooling. This is especially true to parents. Parents send their children. First impression is very important. They look at the school, even though it may be a shop lot, administrator, please do your best to give a good presentation because that's their first impression. Then they will come and they will inquire and ask you what program, what is your educational program, and then they will ask you what is the qualification of your teachers and all this. After these 3 days of training, learning, our goal, I must confess very honestly, is to change you teachers in the way you may presume your role to be. But I want you to know, teacher, this change is for your good. This change will help you to enjoy and feel more relaxed in the teaching career. In other words, less burdensome, less stress, and more fun. Isn't that good? Because many years ago, 20 over years ago, when we first started, I came across an article in our newspaper. Top 5 career that causes stress and depression. Stress and depression. Top 5 career in our country. And number 2, sorry, not number 1. I forgot number 2, but I remember very clearly. Number 2 was teaching career. Wow. A teacher, a teaching career can be a cause of depression and stress. But I want to encourage you, comfort you, and assure you. Put yourself not in the box. Put yourself in the different roles. In what we are going to teach you today, you will also begin to enjoy your teaching career, and you'll find more rewarding. Yes, you'll find more rewarding, not stressful. Okay? So, I want to share in the light of what parent is expecting. Okay? Good academic quality, good environment, good teacher. I want to bring you to the first very important area that must make you change the way you look at your teaching career. That is to firstly not look at the outward, which is the curriculum, the environment, the teachers. Parents fail to see one thing when they go look for school. sadly. I've talked to hundreds of parents, maybe thousands over the years. And I've not found one parent yet that can give me that answer when they come looking for school. All of them say, well, we want to check out your curriculum. We want to check out your teachers, meaning our schooling system. They never answer this one very important thing: their children. They want to check me out. I want to check them out. Okay. I want to check their child, not their academic ability. It's not about their child's academic ability. You see, we fail to realize that children, when they are failing in school, it's not the failure of the teacher. Thank God, isn't it? It's a failure not because the environment is no good, or the textbook is no good, the materials are no good. Mind you, every publisher's source for good brain when they ask a writer to write the book for them. You look through every book, they are excellent. The problem we fail to realize, and parents fail to realize, is a problem that exists in the child in the process of learning. In the process of learning, children faces 5 challenges. This is where they fail to realize and never see it. These are the 5 challenges children face when they are learning. When you are teaching, these are the 5 challenges: their reading ability, their retention rate, their learning style, their pace of comprehension, and the teacher yourself can be a challenge. See, parents come and say, I want to see your school. I want to know your program. No, I want to know your child. What is it about your child? And I say, first thing, do you know that every child has reading challenges? And I say this: good readers is only 15%. Poor reader, according to a research done more than 20 years ago. I quote this from an educational programmer called Lector. They got it from research published in South Africa and in UK more than 20 over years ago. That poor reader constituted more than 70% of a children's of the school. Of the children. Sorry. There's another one called the problem readers, and this problem reader constitute about 15 to 20%. See the chart. So in other words, you have children in the school, and 80% of your class have these problems of reading, and that's why when you ask them to read, straight away they will snatch or they will react. Oh, don't ask me to read. Don't ask me to read. And it's not just about that reading problem. It goes beyond that. Reading. Those who have problems seriously restrained are those who have poorly gifted, sensory problem, dyslexia. Another area, those who have symptoms of poor reader, where I will explain a little bit more about poor reading. Leaning towards seriously restrained. And this group basically have a poorer potential. They can have potential if we know how to rightly tap into their situation, help them in their situation. Okay, they can, especially this restrained group. The poor face problem of poor attention, poor concentration, poor communication to you, poor apprehension. You know, when they read, they just cannot get it. When you teach, they cannot get it. And here you are teaching, and you don't realize that 80% of your children down there find hard to understand what you are talking. And because of this, many of this has poor self-esteem. But they can have potential. The good one. How come the good one can make mistake? And their academic potential also untapped. They have good concentration, good communication, they comprehend better, but they still make mistake. They don't have low self-esteem, that's one thing. They have a higher confidence. But why? Interesting, isn't it? We will know more. But why I'm trying to say this, teacher, why I need you to change? Because you got to understand that children has a problem in learning. The poor, they can be corrected, they can be developed, enhanced, and potential realized. The good one who make mistake, and sometimes, you know, sadly, there was a research done. I came across this research just that after so many years, I just forgot where I left my notes. 20 over years ago, it was a research done by a university in New York. And that research fall onto the groups of children that drop out of schools. And in that group of children, they found that there was about a 30% of this group that has high IQ. High IQ. In other words, their IQ was considered to be genius, some of them. Why did they drop out from school? Why is it that they don't see their academic, their intellectual potential? And when they ask them why you drop out from school, you know what they say? I think some of you already got the answer. They say school is boring. Boring. In other words, teacher, you may be the subject. You are boring. No. Don't take it too hard. It's not you. It's them. And that's why I want you to see that don't see your role as a teacher, that one that teach. You cannot be like a joker. You cannot be a comedian. You know, they say, what is a quality and what should a teacher be? Today, a comedian, an entertainer, a great singer. Whoa! I doubt any of you fall into this category. But you see, they have problem in reading. But this problem reading goes into their educational system. When they read first line especially, second line, third line, fifth, eighth, 10, they get lost. Their apprehensions, or we call it trying to comprehend the passage, got lost. And so what they do, they regress back a few lines to read again. And I think many of you have this problem also, right? In today, even in your early days as a student, you read, you get lost, and then you go back again. And then you read and try to understand, and you understand better, and then you go down, and then somewhere along the line again you get lost. Trying to understand, you regress back and you read again, and that becomes very stressful. And that's the reason why children don't like to read, and they cannot learn from the book. And today we are still producing book. Today we are making more book, and we make the book more colorful, more picture. But the children have the same problem. They see words. They see books. They grew up in a different world. They grew up before they swipe. Before they walk, they swipe. Before they talk, they laugh. Have you ever seen an 8-month-old, 9-month-old children, and many parents when they go to restaurant and they just want to keep their child occupied and don't disturb their fellowship, you know, they put tablets in front of the children or put their phone and play some cartoon, and you see the little child watching the cartoon and the little child smiling. Imagine their intelligent is being relating to the story. Their brain is relating to the story. They can understand. And that's why I say to you, teacher, don't underestimate children today. They are not like us yesterday, especially we, the old one. You know, we came from the era where the whiteboard wasn't white, it was black. And from black, my time, it was from black. A few years later, it changed to green. You are no different. It changed from green to white. But the school has never changed in this past century. It is still a classroom teacher. But children have changed. Their mind has changed. Their social ability has changed. Their emotion has become different. Okay? So we see all this can be helped. Secondly, we fail to realize Edgar Dale's research on the cone of learning, meaning how much can a child remember? We see that only 10% is what we read, 20% what we hear, 30% what we see. So I say this to you, teacher. How are you preparing your lesson? If you are taking out from the book or taking out from material and you are standing on the class there and you are talking, I think you are wasting a lot of your energy. Please don't take it to heart what I'm saying. I want you and I need you to see change in your role. What they hear, what they see, that goes to lesson plan. Did you prepare your lesson to help the children watch a movie, look at some related pictures, illustration? That's different, right? That it helps them to go to 50%. But what they say, what they do themselves, what they talk to you, not what you talk to them, what they do, help them to remember more. Remember this. It is not about what they hear, what they see, and many times, hardly you prepare lesson with illustration. You put some picture there. Yeah, it helps them to remember, but remember, this memory is very short because it is not what they say, what they do. We have to change the way a child learns. That's what I mean. We have to remember it is what they say, what they see, what they do. That is more important. That is the role of the student. What they read, what they hear, what they see is the role of the teacher. But what they read, what they say, what they do is the role of a student. The more the student engage in this learning process, the more they remember. Not the more they hear from you. See, your role of a teacher is different. Okay? And so it's important for us to see that. Okay? So, thirdly, children don't like to read. This is their preferred learning style. Children don't like to do things, experiments like that, science, doing experiments, art. How many likes arts? Now, I'm not offering art. I just say this as a side thing to you. Many there are parents who come to me and say, why are you not offering art? And I honestly admit, I say this. The best art program that will develop your child's artistic skill is out there in this program called Global Art. In school, less than 10% are interested in art. So it's difficult for us to set in an art class. I'd rather use the art hours for something more important to develop the whole group. That's programming. Okay. So you see, they prefer a bit more seeing. We know it's important to do, but they don't like to do. We have to force them to do. I'm not saying that experiential model making is not important. It is not important to the children, but it doesn't mean it is not important in the process of learning. Okay? They want to see more video. They like mind map, graph, chart. Book is not in mind map. Book is still a lot of words, picture, more colorful. The way we deliver content must change. The way you deliver teaching must change, please. Last, they like story. You as a teacher, if you want to teach and you can tell a lot of story, that's great. They will listen to you. But it's not easy to use storyline, case study, maybe case study for maths a bit can. Situational, maybe a little bit can. It's not easy when you want to write science using case story. I'm not saying it's not important, it's not possible. It's not easy. You need the right people. But what I've shown you is the preferred learning style. See, where does that fall into your category as a teacher? How do you see yourself able to meet these needs? Not easy, correct? It is not easy. That's why we need to see a change in our role, in our approach in teaching. Fourth one. We see that many children, 65% are visual learner. And what happened? This learner, they gather information best by looking, reading, watching. Looking, reading, watching. This learner have busy brain. They can snap up pictures. Not as a page. Not many people can snap up information by just a glance. Those are the real gifted. But 65% of children learn by looking, not looking at a page. Perhaps looking at a PowerPoint. Reading from a PowerPoint. Watching an illustration. Watching a short video. They best learn. Not listening to you, teacher. It's not listening. It is looking. Not looking at you. Okay. But watching illustration, short video that relates to the information or the content. 30% of them process information best, meaning as the child teach, as the teacher teach. They can process those information if you repeat the instruction, you repeat it, or if they can read even silently. They are good at memorizing information. Today's children are good at memorizing things. They never forget your promises. And they learn well by discussing, sharing that idea. Let the child express. But I want you to see something. Children need 30% need to process the information repeatedly. Some once, some twice, some maybe 3 times. See, you as a teacher cannot be repeating your lesson 2-3 times. You don't have the luxury of that time. And so that's why I say you got to change your role. I hope I put that sufficiently enough. Change, teacher. Change is the way we can prepare these children for tomorrow. This other group, the kinesthetic, they learn and they process information best through a hands-on experience. Small group of them doing things in a physical way, and this physical work is translated into their brain process and help them to memorize better. So that's why sometimes it's important for us to give some gadget of learning. And we are now preparing a lot of our science. We have prepared some what we call experiments, gadgets that will help them to learn, okay, those concepts. So what I want you to see is these children, 65% are visual learner. What they look, what they read, what they watch. Not hear from what you teach. 30% process information by repetition, and you need to repeat, 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 and you don't have the luxury. Give children a chance to explore the process of learning. This is important. Okay? Fourth, learning pace. What do you mean by learning pace? Teacher, sometimes they teach this pace, and the student learn at this pace. What I mean is this: many times there are children who cannot, their process of information cannot catch up to the delivery of the teacher. The teacher delivers at a different pace. The child process information at a different pace. And what happens if this child goes at this pace? He will be falling behind. Remember, earlier I mentioned about the research done from a university in New York. Why some children who have great IQ drop out of school, and what was their excuse? School is boring. It is no fun driving a Ferrari or a Porsche in the city like Kuala Lumpur. You only see them come out in the weekend on the highway. That's what, and that's where they like. And it's very boring driving a Porsche in the city. And many times when we get caught in a traffic jam, we feel very frustrating, stressful, boring. It's the same situation in the classroom for the good reader, the fast learner. But if the teacher, we reverse this time, go at the pace of like the Volkswagen, then these two others will feel very bored. And that's the situation. This is what I mean. In the classroom, teacher teach at a different pace. And this is a major problem why children are displaced. There is no stupid children. They are only displaced students. When your child scores less than others, they are not lesser in academic ability. It's just that their brain process information differently. They may be more visual, they may be more repetitive, but the teacher teach, he goes at one pace. The teacher teach, he talk. There's no chance for him to see, watch. That's what I'm saying. We need to change the way we deliver. You need to see yourself as a teacher differently. If not, you will not be effective using this curriculum. This curriculum is created not for the teacher, but for the student. I have to admit, this curriculum is not created for the teacher. It is for you, teacher, to make your life less stressful, but it was created first in view of this children's problem. What we want to create is an ultimate learning pace. Right? That's the Volkswagen head. That's the sport car. That's the model. We need to create a new model of learning pace that no one is left behind. How to do that? That's why we will show you in the next few days. And that's why we created our curriculum, our program for this very important needs, the children's needs. Yes, it is also for the teacher, but more important is the children's need. And if you can see this thing and capture these ideas, you will be able to use the program effectively. That's the EduSeed PACE Model 2.0. Okay. Last but not least, the fifth problem, teacher-centric. Too much dependence on teacher is no good. Remember, Singapore educational goal, teach less, learn more. Yes, children today can teach less, can learn more from less teaching from the teacher. From the teacher. When I say teacher-centric, it's the teaching that comes from teacher. Teaching can come in many platforms. You as the teacher provide the teaching. Computer technology is also another platform that can take over the role of a teacher. True? You know, as a teacher, it is very time consuming to create lesson plans. And we know many teachers out in the school, they do not prepare a complete lesson plan with proper PowerPoint, illustration, video, so forth. Because it's too time consuming. They have a life to live. They have family to take care. Not just the children. Once in our class, there's mixed abilities. Students, fast learner, slow learner, good reader, poor reader, challenging reader. And children today are also dependent on teachers. Nearly everyone is dependent on teacher. Simple, right? I ask you this question. When your teacher is absent, are you happy or sad? All of you out there will say, happy. Why? Because when there's no teacher, means no learning. That means you are dependent on the teacher. And we got to change that mindset. Problem in school that parents do not realize. Teacher teach without a lesson plan. How is the child going to review? The teacher teach out there. He cannot take the teacher back with him. Most children will never ask. Most children who are needy, the needy one, will never raise up their hand. Teacher, 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 can you please repeat? Ask yourself, you dare do that when you were a student? No. Shy, low confidence, uncertain. There are many problems why we don't do that. But the biggest one is because we don't have the academic comprehension. There are many social problems exist, even in the best of environments. 5-star schools, international school has big problems also. Building doesn't make any equates for any academic ability. Environments do. What kind of environments? Teachers' environment. We will touch on one area very important, how to mentor children. Very important. The role of teachers today is not a teacher who teach, but a teacher who mentor. You see, I don't want a school that depend on teacher. Honestly, I don't want a school that depend on good teacher. Good teacher is a liability, not an asset. Quality of a school should not be dependent on a teacher. It should be dependent on the skill I develop in the child, the process to learn. Sad to say, many school goes this way, you know, 50% score A, 50% pass, 80% goes to college. No, I want to create a school that at least 99% of children goes to college. Succeed! And we can do that. And we have done that. Now, it's not boasting. It's to help implant on your mind. Please, in this coming future, important to prepare our children, you need to see a change in your role as a teacher. When you embark on EduSeed, very important, you need to see a change your role as a teacher. You see, EduSeed is created with a complete lesson plan. Complete. You can add in a little bit, doesn't matter. It provides a student-centric learning environment. No one left behind, because what? The lesson from computer is the teacher. They teach, and a child can repeat. Lesson in computer, I can put in PowerPoints. And PowerPoint slide, research found that it is easier for a child to learn from slide than from textbook format. So a child can repeat, a child can look, watch, read, so that they don't get left behind. So the role of teaching is in technology, not in a person. But you, as a teacher, in that different role, is vital to his success. Vital not in you teaching, vital in you managing, monitoring, mentoring. You are so needed in this area. Managing, monitoring, mentoring. Okay? EduSeed, complete daily lesson plan. Provide a personalized learning. It reduces the dependency of teacher, meaning it reduces your what? It doesn't mean that the dependency on teacher is bad, but it also means, taking it from a positive point of view, teacher, it reduces you the time to prepare your lesson plan. Meaning, teacher, you are free from preparing lesson plan. You are free from the stress. You are free from the demand of preparing lesson plan. Good or not? The complete daily lesson plan provides a personalized learning approach. Meaning, in your class where there is various students with a different pace of learning, this lesson plan can be personalized to their pace, to their challenges, and it creates better thinking skill and learning depth. Because when the child is looking, watching, reading, he is absorbing, he is analyzing. When a child is watching you teaching, and where you are teaching the first line, third line, fourth line, and he's still trying to comprehend the first and second line and doesn't know what you're speaking on the fourth and fifth line, he gets lost. And when he gets lost, he just look at you and stare at the teacher. And he's lost in his lesson. And this is where it's important. I share with you and emphasize the needs of the student to help you understand your role. That your role can change to better accommodate and better equip the child to learn and to help them to have an effective learning, that their time of learning will not be wasted. So, in conclusion, teacher, I challenge you, be willing to change how you see yourself as a teacher. Be willing to kick yourself out of the box and adopt a new strategy of teaching. Adopt a new way of teaching.